Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Moises David Valdez, a student at Eastside High School, and this is my final project for English 3 under Miss H or Miss Utan, as most of you know. So today I will be addressing, discussing, and evaluating a certain topic that I was assigned to discuss. And the topic is, how can we learn about time through art? Or, in other words, how does art reflect a certain time period? And in my opinion, I believe that art reflects a time period in many different ways. The main way is that art is a way of expressing your feelings or surroundings. Whether it is by painting, singing, or writing poems, the time you're living in greatly influences your emotions and surroundings. So let's just say you're in a time period where there's a lot of hate going around, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of discrimination. Your art and your mentality is going to be what's you're going to be painting or writing or creating. Your creations are based off of what you think and how you think. So, in my opinion, and in most other people's opinion, art is a way of expressing one's own feelings through a certain way, like painting or singing. Okay, so for example, to make it simpler, if a person is living in the 80s, right, and takes a sketch of a car on that time, of course, that sketch that he takes will be dramatically different or greatly different than the car that would be sketched in modern time. Why? Mainly because it's just different technology. So if a person in modern time looks at the art that guy in the 1800s made, he's going to be like, oh, that's obviously a car from the past, if you understand. So now that you guys understand, I'm going to give you two pieces of real world art that was created by other people. Both of these pieces are either songs or poetry, which is kind of the same thing. And yeah, I hope that these two pieces will further open your mind and make you understand what I mean. The first example is Theme for English B by Langston Hughes. This is a poem created by an African American black man during the time of like segregation. I'm not gonna read you the poem because I don't have time for that. Like we're kind of short on time, but I'm going to give you important quotes that was said in the story. First, the first quote is, "I am 22, colored, born in Winston-Salem." I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. So just the fact that he expresses in between those two lines that he is colored, that shows us that being colored is something important. It's something serious. It's something, let's just say, valuable. By him saying that, it brings us to a time where it's like, oh, why is being colored so important? And of course, us knowing our history, we know that in the past, where racism was around, I mean it's still around, but racism towards black was serious. We can tell that this correlates to that a little bit, like by just that line. The second part is, well, I like to eat, sleep, drink, and be in love. I like to work, read, learn, and understand life. I like to pipe for Christmas presents or records, Bessie's, Bob, or Batch. I guess being colored doesn't make me not like same things other folks like who are other races. So, will my page be colored that I write? So obviously the way he's writing is technically speaking for multiple black people. Or we can also say that the time that he's living in has influenced his mentality. Like, by him saying that just because he's black, does that really make him not like other people? I mean, obviously, that points us right to the time where discrimination was around, where racism was around, and where all this other stuff was around. And just by him writing this poem, we could like get an image or a picture that this is a time where racism was around. So the third piece of art is a song, and it is called Global Warming. It's a TikTok song that is like well known and well around. I don't know the artist because he doesn't really explain it, but I'm gonna have to go through it. I'm sorry that I'm speaking fast, but like I'm running out of time. The first piece of the first quote that I got from the song is, while Trump turns a blind eye and tweets. The fact that she explains Trump's, it leads us to a fact, or it leads us to a time where Trump was a president. So it gives us a time. The second piece, or the second quote that I have for you, is sea levels are rising, icebergs are melting, the coral reefs are dying, and no one is helping. I like this because, one, from the other quote that I gave you, Trump, this is during Trump's presidency. This is between 2019 or 2020. And in this time, sea levels are rising and icebergs are melting, therefore meaning that there's global warming in the world. Global warming is causing coral reefs to die, natural habitats to die. Also, if icebergs are melting, animals are dying and going extinct as well. We could learn this from that quote, that small quote that she provided to us. So I provided you guys with two pieces of art, a modern one and a more older one. The older one was more emotional, and we learned about his time period through his own experience, his own mentality. And in the new one, it was more about the surroundings of the character. What is going on around her? What is going on with the world, as I explained with you guys. And I feel like based on what an artist feels and during their time period, that's what we will learn. If she feels happy, she's going to give a happy song, and it's going to make us learn something positive about the time period. But if it's the opposite, we're going to learn something negative, and we're going to learn that time period was tough. Like the poem by Langston Hughes. And overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And I'm sorry, it was very rushed because of the low time period. It should have been like 10 minutes. I had to give it between a lower amount of time. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, and come back for the next podcast.